Okay, with a show of hands, how many of you have a social media account? All of you. Okay. With a show of hands, how many of you have ever been followed or friend requested by someone on social media that you do not know? Mostly all of you. There's a good chance that you might have been getting catfished or someone was trying to catfish you. My name is Layney Sr, and I'm a senior here at Bluefield, and this is my presentation. So Webster defines catfishing. Webster defines catfishing as a person who sets up a false personal profile on a social networking site for fraudulent or deceptive purposes. And then I have this video. This just shows exactly what catfishing is and how it all started.
Okay, so what's a catfish? Well, for starters, it was an indie documentary about how I met a girl online who lived in Michigan. I fell in love with her even though I never actually met her. We had a couple potential titles for the film, such as The Facebook Family, Night and Eve, House of Muses, and my personal favorite, Michigan Impossible. But we ended up calling it Catfish. Turns out she was not the hot 19-year-old girl she presented herself to be, and was actually sort of a troubled 40-year-old mom instead. Our documentary actually ended up inspiring a term that found its way onto Urban Dictionary. Catfish is someone who pretends to be someone they're not, using Facebook or other social media to create false identities. So why do we call it catfish? Well, when I finally met the 40-year-old mom, I also met her husband, and he told us this amazing story. They used to take live cod in these giant vats on ships from Alaska to China. But by the time the codfish got to China, their flesh would become mush and tasteless. So some guy had the bright idea of putting catfish in these vats with the cod to chase them around and keep them moving. And he finished by saying that he thanked God for the catfish, because life would be dull, boring, and dull if we didn't have someone nipping at our fins.
Okay. So that video just shows you a little bit about how it all started. It all started because of Neve. He met a girl in Michigan. And the show started in 2010. And, sorry. The show started in 2010. And the documentary started in 2010. And the show started in 2012. And this is who he was really talking to, was Megan, who he thought he was talking to. And then he went to Michigan, surprised her, and he found out he was actually talking to Angela. And then the show has become a huge success, and there's tons of different stories on there. And one of my favorite ones is Andrea and David. Andrea and David talked for 10 years. They met when they were 12. She contacted Neve and Max on the show and said she really wanted to meet him because they've never been able to meet up. So this was David. This is who she was talking to for 10 years. And when she got to meet him, this is who answered the door, Christina. There was a big difference from David. So that just shows you how big of a, some of them are not that drastic, but that one definitely was. So the internet dating statistics. 59% of people from in 2015 feel that online dating is a good way to meet people, compared to 44% in 2005. So there are a lot of different warning signs. Number one warning sign is modeling. For some reason, that if they say they're a model, if they look like a model, it's usually a catfish, more than likely. And then their Facebook profiles, if they have more friends than normal, like more friends than like a famous person kind of, or if they have less friends, like actually like no friends almost, then that's a sign. Traumatic injuries or illnesses. A lot of times on the show, they'll say that they have cancer or that they had a bad car accident so they can't meet up with them or something horrible like that. And then no pictures, of course, if they don't send you pictures or they can't send you pictures, or a webcam. That's another huge one. A lot of times they'll try to video chat with you and you'll try to video chat with them and they refuse to video chat back. And then they refuse to meet up. That's the biggest one. Ways to find out. You can Google image search their picture, like the one they send you into Google, and then a lot of times it'll come up with like 500 or like 100 or so like different posts with that picture. And it'll be like a model or it'll be like a famous person that they used. And then you can also Google search their phone number, which is really scary because I did it myself just to try it out, and all my information popped up and everything. So, and then you can Google their name, of course, and see if they, any family members' names come up or anything that they've told you. My research question is, why do people catfish, and what is the impact that catfishing has? So I handed out 68 surveys, and every single one said that they had at least one social media account. And Facebook was not the most popular one, surprisingly. It was Instagram and Snapchat were the most popular. And 60 out of the 68 said that they had Snapchat and Instagram. And only one person said that they did not have social media. So my first participant, I did 5 different interviews. And I'm going to show 3 of them on here. My first participant, she was 17 years old when she met the guy that she catfished, and he was 20 years old, and he lived a couple states away, and she pretended to be 20 years old, and she said that she lived in an apartment because she wanted to be more impressive. And she also told him that she had 2 roommates that were both, and she names them celebrity names, and he did not catch on to that whatsoever. And so they talked for a couple months, and finally she told him the truth. And when she told him the truth, he said that he suspected it all along, which she said that wasn't true. But that was the first person. My second one, she met him on Instagram. He followed her first, but then she started following him back, she said, just out of generosity. And then he started liking all her pictures, so she likes them back. And then he DM'd her. And so they started direct messaging back and forth, and she ended up giving him her phone number, and they started texting back and forth. And after, I think about a month, she decided that she was going to ask him for a Snapchat, and he refused to give it to her. He just said that he had one, but he didn't want to give it to her, and all this different stuff. So she kept on texting him and asking him, and finally he stopped texting her back. And after about 2 weeks of her trying to talk to him, he just would not reply. And so she realized that he actually catfished her. My third participant was, I went to a local restaurant in my hometown. Those 2 before were from Bluefield College. But this one, I went to a local restaurant in my hometown, and I handed out my survey and to about 10 people of the age of 25 and up, just to get an older kind of population. And this person was 30 years old, and she had a boyfriend for over a year, and she found out that he actually had a wife and 2 kids at home, and she had absolutely no idea. So she decided that she was going to get him back. And she was on Craigslist one day, and she saw that he had a post about wanting a companion. So she decided that his number was on there, so she got a fake number off of a text messaging site. I didn't even know you could do that. But she got a number off of a text messaging site, and she messaged him and told him that she was responding to the ad, and they went back and forth and talked. And she sent him a picture of herself, which she got a picture off of a friend's Facebook. And so she sent a picture of this girl, and they talked back and forth, and he asked to meet up and all this different stuff, and he ended up going to the restaurant, and she stood him up. But they talked for a couple of weeks like that, and completely just for fun too. She had no remorse at all. She was just did it for fun. And then this is who I got her permission to use her picture and all her information. So this is who she said she was. Her name was Cassandra, that's what she said. And that's the message that she said, can you please send me a picture of you? And he said, yes, of course. Can't be too careful these days with the internet. And that's the picture she sent, and this is what she really looks like. It's Amanda. And so my conclusion, why do people catfish? They're insecure and want to be someone they're not. A lot of times, it's not even about what they look like. It's about, the first person, they wanted to be someone older. They wanted to be someone cooler and more impressive. It's about, wanting to change yourself altogether. And then they're embarrassed of what they look like. Oh, it's a big one, too. And then they do it for fun or to get revenge, like the last one. A lot of times on the show, they were bored, or they knew the person, and they just pretended like they didn't know the person and pretended to be someone completely different. And then the impact, catfishing can hurt the person being catfished because they are being lied to. being lied to. A lot of times they fall in love. Like on the show, they fall in love for years and years, and they think that they're talking, like the person that was talking for 10 years. She fell madly in love with him, and then it was a woman. And then it can hurt the person doing the catfishing because they have to live with a lie. And that can also be a burden. And a lot of times they catfish because they are embarrassed of the way they look and stuff like that. And so it can mess with their emotions and mess with their everything. And so that's my presentation. Thank you.